Hi everyone, hope you're keeping well. Welcome to another video from Andy to Know. Just to let you know that this is a pretty sad one, but it has been requested by a couple of people, hence the reason why I am doing it. And this is on the Dibble's Bridge coach crash. On the 27th of May 1975, Lincoln Seligman was 25 and holidaying at his in-laws' cottage in Hebden with his wife when a coach landed in their garden. Its brakes had failed on a notorious descent known as Dibble's Bridge. 45 mostly elderly women were on a day trip from Thornaby-on-Tees to the tourist honeypot of Grassington when the coach they were travelling in careered down a steep bank and landed on its roof. Only 13 passengers survived, making it the worst UK road incident by death toll. Mr. Seligman says it took at least an hour for emergency services to arrive, as the rural holiday cottage had no telephone and they had to wait for a local farmer to call for help. Just one ambulance with a single driver arrived at first, before the scale of the tragedy became clear, and the injured were taken to Airedale Hospital in Keighley rather than Leeds and Newcastle, which nowadays have major trauma centres. It was pretty hard for emergency services to get anybody out of the old coach, as the windows were crushed anyway. An inquest in July 1975 found the main cause of loss of life was the crushing of the victims between the seats. It concluded that the 45-seater Bedford Dibble coach belonging to Riley's Luxury Coaches crashed through Dibble's Bridge at the bottom of Finchale Hill, falling 16 to 17 feet. According to the archives of Commercial Motor magazine, a passenger giving evidence from a wheelchair said the coach started going downhill and then went faster and faster and the driver swore. Dorothy White, 62, organised the Yorkshire Dales visit. She had been running trips known as Auntie Dorry's Mystery Trips for 30 years. The owner of the coach company, Norman William Riley, 51, pleaded guilty to using a motor vehicle on which the braking system was not maintained in efficient working order and was fined just £75. The incident led to the tightening of safety measures for commercial coaches, including the inspection of braking systems on public service vehicles and the introduction of brake retarders. Years later, in March 2021, a warning sign was erected on the road above Dibble's Bridge, following a further 3 fatal crashes involving cyclists who had lost control and fallen over the parapet. This included James Nelson, 32, who was riding with Skipton Cycling Club when his brakes locked on the descent and he fell into the river below in 2014. A year later, Leeds General Infirmary cardiologist Dr. George Ballard, 41, from Ilkley fell 50 feet into the River Dibb after he collided with the bridge and was thrown over the handlebars. And lastly, if that wasn't enough, in 2020, American engineer Craig Barnhart, 66, fell from height from the stretch of road after the brakes on his e-bike failed. After all of this, safety barriers were then erected. The operations director at the Confederation of Passenger Transport UK says he does not think that the incident would happen again because of a series of changes in the law. A whole new load of things have changed since. The way the vehicles are maintained, driver training, anti-lock braking systems, which of course didn't exist in the days of this coach accident. One thing also, believe it or not, is that they did not have an annual MOT, which is quite shocking to be quite honest. The primary problem with the accident was that the brakes didn't work efficiently. As mentioned, they didn't have retarders at the time, and the retarder in effect takes the pressure off the brakes, so there's resistance to the vehicle going down the hill before you actually use the brakes. And even if it did happen and went over the wall, as it did in this instance, the vehicle wouldn't collapse in the way that it did because of rollover protection. Those vehicles are much stronger and they're designed to be able to roll over and still keep their structural integrity efficiently. No comfort, obviously, to the people who perished in this accident and their relatives. The incident lives large in the memories of people in Thornaby, and a memorial stone which comes from a quarry near Hebden sits in the town centre. Local councillor Miss Large stated that everybody was over the moon about the Dibble's Bridge Memorial at the town, and it's something that needs to be remembered. Miss Large was 13 at the time when the incident hit her own family. Her great aunt had set off on the coach trip that morning. I just remember my mum coming and getting us all to go to my Uncle Tony's, which was my Aunt Margaret's house, and we all had to go upstairs and everyone was coming round and crying. I was about 13 and it was just devastating to have lost someone. Even until today, Auntie Margaret still talks about her. She was a lovely, lovely, jolly person. The last of the 13 survivors of the crash had died in 2022. And there is the end of the story, folks. A rather sad story, and may these people rest in peace. And the only thing that comfort that can be taken is that sadly lessons were learned from this accident and hopefully prevented similar accidents in the future. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please give it a share if you so wish, and consider subscribing to my channel if you want. Until the next video, folks, take care of yourselves and feel free to check out my channel for plenty of other videos. Until the next one, goodbye for now.